like Clark, I can't stop. Fuck around, make my 40 pop. No popcorn, I pop pistols. Reaming my body, clothing no issue. Bitch, you look sick, you need a tissue. You drop a body, I just might bless you. I'm metrosexual.
Yo, what is going on, everyone? It's Wraith here, back with another video. Now in today's video, since these cash cups are all coming out and there's trios, cups, etc, I've decided to make a video basically on how to prepare for tournaments so you're in the right mindset, you're in the right place to win the tournaments or do as well as you possibly can. So if you're looking forward to this video, make sure you slap a like button, comment what you want to see for a future video. I reply to almost every single comment. Make sure you smash a like button, and if you guys don't know, I stream almost every single day, so make sure you check that out at the link in the description or WraithAM on Twitch. And yeah, that's basically it for today's intro. Let's get right into today's video, and make sure you use creator code WraithFN in the item shop. Let's get into it. So the first tip I'm going to give, and this is probably one of the most important ones, it's a very, very big one, it's get a good night's sleep. Now a lot of you guys might be wondering, well, what do you mean? I was grinding late till like 5 a.m. last night, and then I got like 3 to 4 hours, and now I'm ready to go because I was grinding, I'm going to do good. Technically not how it works. If you're tired or you're not in the right state of mind, or basically your brain's not working at the best of its ability, which it does when you have good amount of sleep, good amount of food, good amount of water, good amount of energy, well then you're not going to do as good. So basically what I always recommend doing before a big tournament or before a LAN event or whatever you guys want to do, make sure that you get a good enough sleep, make sure you're drinking good amounts of water, make sure you're drinking, or not drinking, but eating good amount of food, make sure that you just feel all around healthy, you feel awake, you feel naturally full, you don't feel like you need to go friggin' eat 6 cheeseburgers or else you're not going to be playing as good. Make sure you've went to the washroom, everything like that. Just make sure everything's good, but most importantly, have a good sleep to make sure your energy levels are as where they need to be, and basically you're well rested and your brain's ready to absorb information, as well as make sure it's at top form. Now the next tip is make sure that you warm up as much as you can. So basically what I mean about that is, if you can only play, if say you have school till 3:15 and you only have 3 hours until the cash cup at 6 o'clock, well then make sure you try your best to get home as quick as possible and grind out an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours of practicing. Obviously, if you can play all day and the cash cup's at 6, you don't need to grind all day. There's obviously, you don't want to over grind and over practice and over warm up. That's not a good thing, but try and get like an hour, 2 hours in of just pure raw gameplay, whether it's creative, Kovacs, customs, whatever the case is. Just make sure you try and get an hour, 2 hours of practicing, and make sure you're warmed up for your mechanics, everything is good. Another thing that I'm going to talk about, and this is probably even more important than getting good sleep, is having a game plan. Knowing what you're going to do, knowing where you're going to land, knowing what placement is, blah 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 blah. It's very, very important that you treat this like you would a tournament for sports or a test or whatever the case is. Make sure you know exactly how late you need to survive until you get placement points. Know how many points a kill is. Obviously it's 1, but for future tournaments you never know. Make sure you know where you're landing. If you have 2 landing spots, make sure you know exactly where you're landing. If the bus goes from top down, or which place are you landing? If the bus is going left side to the right side of the map, which place are you landing? Make sure you already have a very good plan, and make sure you know, am I going to W key everyone I see? Am I going to play super passive the first 6 games? Am I going to play passive in the last couple games? Am I going to play aggressive? Whatever the case is, make sure you have a plan and make sure that you try and stick with it. Some people, like professionals, will have a plan for like a week before the tournament even starts, but obviously a lot of you guys aren't professionals and you guys just try their best and competitive. So try your best to have a plan the day of, or even the day before that. Plan it out, make sure you know exactly what you're going to do, exactly how many points you want to get, what's your goal, what do you think the cutoff will be for the next tournament. So for example, the trios right now, the top 1,000 make it in the top 150 if I'm not correct, and then the top 8 or something, I could be wrong, but basically make sure you know the cutoff and make sure you know how many points around you're going to need. Now this next one is a pretty big one, and I know I've said this about a lot of the tips so far, but it is a big one, and it's basically, if there's already been a previous tournament of this size, make sure you VOD review it and see what the kind of play style and the point system was like. So basically, for example, these cash cups that are all happening, are the trio cups. after this week, all the champions, the contenders, as well as the trios will all be done. So before the next trio cup or the next duo or solo cash cup or whatever you want to call it, make sure that you watch and go rewatch the points and how people play in those old tournaments, because basically they're most likely going to be very similar to the same style. So basically what to look for is, did people W key a lot in it? What was a point system to needing money? Did a lot of people get more limbs than they did placement points? Did people get more placement points than limbs? What were the end games like? It's very, very important to watch what happened, how the tournaments are looking, and what play style you're going to need, because that all will again go into that plan that you're going to figure out and try and execute. Yes, there we go, execute. Now this is leading up towards the tournament, and basically in the, like 2 hours before the tournament starts, or even an hour and a half. Normally what I like to doing is, obviously if you're on west, east, whatever the case is, do a little viewing party. So like watch Chap, watch whoever's doing the viewing party, watch European servers, see how their kind of style is playing. Make sure you get in the mindset of competitive, make sure you get in the mindset, focus up, watch how they're playing, watch how they're doing, etc., etc. Obviously your EU or whatever, the first couple tournaments, then I recommend just again going back and watching the old VODs of the old tournaments, because obviously you can't really do a viewing party, or just spend that time rewatching your own mistakes and figure out what you could have done. And basically around, I'd say an hour before the tournament starts, hour and a half, do that for around 30-45 minutes, again just to get you in that mindset of competitive play, just to make you see kind of exactly how it's going. Now obviously every server is going to be a little bit different, but they're all pretty similar. And then around 30 minutes, give or take, I like to now take a little bit of a break, maybe a 10-15 minute break, make sure I got water, make sure I'm not hungry, make sure I go to the washroom, maybe do a couple hand exercises to make sure I'm loose, I'm awake, blah blah blah. And then basically around 20-25 minutes before the tournament actually starts, I just hop in creative or hop in a solo match. Just make sure everything's completely good, my aim feels natural, my build feels natural, my editing feels good, basically everything feels good, and you're ready for the game. And make sure that for the next, give it around 3 minutes before the game starts. If you're in a solo or even an arena and the tournament starts in 2 to 3 minutes, just leave the arena, who cares, and just get ready for the tournament. And then basically the last thing, and this is probably a very important one, is, well actually the second last thing, is make sure that if you're super excited and you're shaking and you don't know what to do, you can't calm your nerves because this is your first tournament before, or you've never been in such a big tournament before, make sure you calm down. Now you might be wondering, well, why would you want to calm down? If you're excited, if you're ready to go, isn't it better to be amped up? And yeah, it's one thing to be amped up and ready and want to win and want to do as good as possible, but it's another thing just to be so hyper and so ready to go that your arms are shaking and you can't control yourself because it's your first tournament, or you think you're going to win, or you think you're going to win money. Just remember, calm down, breathe for a couple seconds before you click start game, relax, and make sure you're calm, you're cool, you're collected. Sure, you can still be hyped, you can still be ready for the game, but make sure you keep it cool, collected. That'll allow your head to remember the game plan, which I'll talk about as the last tip. And if you're tired, I don't really recommend this, but you can also have coffee, you can drink some G Fuel, whatever you kind of want to do. Obviously be aware at the risk, you don't want to have too much caffeine, you don't want to have too many energy drinks or whatever, but I do know a lot of pro players before, just to make sure they're extremely ready, they're energized, they're not tired, they do drink G Fuel. I drink G Fuel, some people even drink Red Bulls, Monsters, whatever the case is, but again, that's up to you. I don't really recommend that, but again, if you feel like you're really tired, or you had a long work day and you're getting ready for the tournament, you kind of have to, again, that's up to you. If you're, again, make sure that you just calm, cool, collected before you click that ready up button. Now the last tip, and this kind of goes back to your game style, make sure that you figure out your plan and you try your best to stick to that plan no matter what, unless you absolutely need to change it. So just because you die the first 2-3 games, don't just be like, oh, well, my plan's not working, I'm going to go a different landing spot, or I'm going to hot drop and see how this goes. Stick to your plan, even for 3 or 4 or 5, 6, 7 games. If it's not working well, don't worry, stick to your plan. As long if it's a good solid plan and you thought about it and you're executing it, eventually it will get better. Like I said, for FaZe Dubbed, I like to use this for example. In the World Cup qualifiers, when he had 7 games played, I think already out of the 10, and he only had 8 points, he just dropped 2 back-to-backs, 23, 21 kill games or something, and qualified for the World Cup because he stuck to his plan. Even though he is 7 games in, he remained calm and he stuck stuck with his plan and he executed it perfectly. Now, obviously, again, if you're in that scenario where you're only at 9, 10, 11, whatever points, you need to get like 60, 70 points. Excuse me, if you need to get 60, 70 points, then yes, you're going to have to change the game plan a little bit and W key a little bit more. But try your best to stick to it as best as you possibly can. So that's it for today's video. If you enjoyed, make sure you slap a like button, comment what you want to see for a future video, and make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys all in another video. Have a good one, everyone. Peace.